Want to hear a story? Humans love stories. It's our primary way of communication. We tell stories to communicate values, to identify dangers, to connect, create community. We also tell stories just for entertainment, just for joy, just for pleasure. Humans love stories. But if you ask someone to tell you a story, that can bring a lot of fear. I mean, just the label of story can create fear. And when the stakes are high, that can turn into a full panic. I mean, there's a big difference between what you do this weekend and tell me a story about what you did this weekend. So, improvisation, it's got lots of ways to help us understand and work on storytelling because one of its core principles is telling stories spontaneously and collaboratively. This is my friend Corey Rosen. Now, he is an improviser, a trainer. He's also an author. He's a really remarkable guy, and he's just released a book of activities to bring out the inner storyteller in each of us.
Hello, my name is Corey Rosen. I'm from Bats Improv, and I am the author of a new book called Your Story Well Told, which can be purchased anywhere. So get yours today. And I'm here to explain a game today that is called Can You Guess What Happens Next? Exactly. This can be played both in workshops with a partner or, of course, to an audience. And the objective of this game is to basically show that the audience is itself a great natural storyteller and their instincts are right. And so when a storyteller is telling a story and they stop at any point and they ask the audience, can you guess what happens next? No matter what they say, you say exactly, and you incorporate whatever their last thing is. So the flow of the game goes like this. It could either be that you're starting from a suggestion or the classic, can you guess what happens first? And whatever that is, you will roll that into a story and you will start telling the story about that character or that world or setting that scene up. And you, the storyteller, add all the details. So your job is to fill in the details and to describe it. That could be the emotions, that could be the descriptions of things. But anytime you get to a point where there's a decision to be made, you ask that question to create that feedback loop. Can you guess what happens next? And no matter what they say, you say exactly, even if it sounds like a terrible idea. Go at it with enthusiasm, positivity, and grace so that you can then dive in and experience what happens next. Here's a real world example of how this happened and played out in a very satisfying way. I was teaching a story class to a bunch of students, and they were creating short films. And one of my students, whose name was Tay, had a beautiful idea for a film involving two characters. A nobleman, kind of dandy guy with a hot air balloon in sort of the dawn of that sort of flight, taking off in his hot air balloon. And as he lofts into the air, an alien in a little kind of single-seater convertible top UFO kind of buzzes in, and the entire scene is played out between the alien in his flying device and the nobleman in his hot air balloon. And there's a status relationship that's happening between the two of them, where the nobleman is kind of insulted because the alien is making fun of him. Like he doesn't have the flexibility and the range that the alien has in his little mechanically inclined flying vehicle. So the nobleman is insulted. He throws his glove, which whaps the alien across the face, challenging him to a duel, by which he takes his sword out, cuts the rope, and swings over to basically start trying to engage in midair the alien in a bit of hand-to-hand combat. One thing leads to another, and trouble ensues, in which that he has cut the ropes of his machine, and so his hot air balloon is damaged, and there's trouble. And Tay had no idea what to do with the story. Can you guess what happens next? And I had no idea. So I said, let's think about this. That night, I came home and I told that story to my 5-year-old son, Henry. And I told him this entire thing, and I said these words to him. I said, can you guess what happens next? And Henry, a 5-year-old, said, of course, the alien's spaceship breaks down, so they have to tie the hot air balloon to the alien spaceship, and so they have to work together with teamwork and cooperation to solve both of their problems, which was exactly the right answer. I told that to Tay in class the next week. Tay put that into his movie, which is called The Encounter. You can find it on Vimeo. I'm going to put ask William to put the link in the chat, and he even credits Henry Rosen, my son, in the credits of his film. So that is how you might use the game. Can you guess what happens next exactly in a real world situation? Thank you so much, and happy storytelling.
Thank you, Corey. Great share. Get the book. It's filled with activities you can try. What's going on here are a couple of really interesting things. The brain is a story guessing machine. It's always guessing what's going to happen next. It's just part of the way we work. And the other thing that's happening here is by asking the other person what comes next, they don't think that they're the storyteller. They're just adding a little piece. So they don't have any of the pressure. This is some of the beautiful parts about improv. How do we take the pressure away and just release what's already there, what's coming? Look, I want to thank everyone for showing up here. Please, you can support these videos by clicking like, by subscribing, and go the extra step. And while you're at it, just hit the subscription bell so you make sure that you get a first look at anything that I post here. And I got a lot more to post. You and I are making the world a better place, one playful game at a time.